Hi, this is Raven Moon with your predictions for 25th to the 31st of May, 2026. Pluto retrograde takes a seat of power this week, and it knows your pattern. This week, Pluto retrograde becomes the undeniable authority in the room. Not loud, not flashy, just quietly unignorable. There are no gold stars for coping mechanisms here, no applause for holding it together while quietly unraveling underneath. Pluto does not reward appearances. It dismantles the illusions. This is not renewal. This is excavation. Think less new chapter and more hidden wiring exposed. The kind that explains why the lights keep flickering no matter how often you repaint the walls. Pluto retrograde shines into spaces you've built for survival. Fear dressed as control, resentment buried as silence. Devotion tied to old agreements you no longer remember signing. This week asks one question, and it's not polite. Who has been running your life from the shadows? Watch where the answer surfaces. In tense conversations, in money friction, in family expectations, in subtle power struggles, in exhaustion that no amount of rest seems to fix. The week opens with Libra trying to maintain grace. Then Mars collides with Pluto and raises the pressure. Venus meets Saturn and demands emotional accountability. By the time the Sagittarius full moon arrives, the question becomes unavoidable. Are you still living a life that points somewhere true? This is not about becoming someone new. This is about reclaiming who you were before you learned to negotiate with your own truth. So take the torch. We're going down. Monday, May the 25th, Libra moon. Graceful on the surface, negotiations underneath. Libra begins the week with refinement, balance, beauty, softened edges, and an instinct to keep everything socially acceptable. You may find yourself adjusting tone, smoothing tension, and shaping conversations into something more palatable. It feels like harmony, it looks like control, but there's a catch. Libra can turn honesty into performance. You may edit yourself just enough to be liked, not understood. Agree just enough to avoid disruption. Smile while something underneath tightens. This is not peace. This is emotional preservation disguised as diplomacy. Balance without self-betrayal is the assignment. Notice where you instinctively soften your truth. Ask yourself, am I being kind or am I managing reactions? Then say one real thing, calm, direct, and unpolished. Tuesday, May the 26th, Mars squares Pluto. Force meets buried power. Something has to give. This is the fault line of the week. Mars in Taurus digs in its heels. Comfort, control, stability, possession. Pluto retrograde in Aquarius exposes the deeper systems beneath behavior, power dynamics, unspoken agendas, group tension. When they clash, surface agreements stop being simple. A conversation about logistics becomes a standoff. A disagreement starts to feel like a takeover. Control is the real currency here, but power misused becomes destruction. The temptation will be to push harder, prove more, dominate the situation. Resist it. There's nothing powerful about being controlled by what you cannot release. Before reacting, ask, what am I afraid of losing if I loosen control? The answer is where the real work lies. Also Tuesday, Sun trine Pluto. Clarity cuts through the noise. Amid the tension, insight arrives like a blade. Conversations deepen, patterns sharpen. The things no one says becomes the thing everyone sees. Gemini gives language. Pluto gives awareness. Aquarius gives perspective. Suddenly the system becomes visible. Use this wisely. Seeing clearly does not require exposing brutality. Stop reacting to the moments. Start tracing patterns. Ask, what does this behavior belong to? Wednesday, May the 27th, void of course moon. Pause, adjust, do not demand resolution. The desire for clarity continues, but answers drift. Decisions blur, people hesitate, agreements feel temporary at best. This is not a day for conclusions, it's a day for recalibration. Clean what you can, refine what is already in motion, let uncertainty exist without forcing it into certainty. Sometimes the absence of an answer is the answer. Create a not today list. Decisions, confrontations, commitments. Give yourself space to observe instead of forcing closure. Thursday, May the 28th, Venus is square Saturn. Love under discipline. Comfort under scrutiny. Here's where emotion meets reality. Venus in Cancer reaches for safety, reassurance, belonging. Saturn in Aries stands firm and asks, where is your boundary? Where is your courage? This can feel like distance, disappointment, or emotional tightening, but it is not punishment, it is structure. What you call love may be dependency. What you call care may be control. What you call giving may be fear of rejection. Saturn removes illusions. What remains is what holds. Ask, where am I overextending to feel secure? Then adjust. One boundary, one honest limit, one grounded decision. Friday, May the 29th, Scorpio moon. No emotional shortcuts, only truth. Everything intensifies. Feelings deepen. Silence becomes heavier. Avoidance becomes obvious. The Scorpio moon does not tolerate surface level living. It wants truth beneath story, motive beneath action, pain beneath protection. This is powerful energy for healing, release, and emotional clarity. It is also dangerous if turned into obsession or control. Not every feeling needs investigation, but the ones that repeat, those demand attention. Identify one emotional pattern you are ready to outgrow. Write down what it protects, what it costs, and what it hides. Saturday, May the 30th, Sagittarius moon. Perspective returns. Air enters the room. Air, after the intensity, expansion arrives. Sagittarius lifts weight, movement, curiosity, humor, space. The reminder that life is larger than whatever has consumed you all week. You may crave distance, mentally, physically, emotionally. Take it, but stay grounded. Freedom without awareness becomes avoidance. Do something that expands your thinking. Then ask, what is the bigger truth behind everything this week revealed? Sunday, May the 31st, Sagittarius full moon. Truth decides what stays. This is the accumulation. After everything exposed, everything felt, everything confronted, now comes direction. Sagittarius does not care about appearances. It cares about meaning. If your current path is built on outdated beliefs, it will feel unstable now. If your story no longer fits what you are or who you are becoming, it will crack. This is release. Not dramatic endings, just a quiet refusal to continue living something that no longer aligns. Name one belief that you are ready to release. Then choose a truer one, simple, grounded, and real. This week does not aim for comfort. It demands authenticity. Pluto retrograde exposes, Mars intensifies, Venus and Saturn stabilize. The full moon clarifies. You are not being undone. You are being shown. Let go of what keeps you compliant with fear. Stand where truth feels steady, not performative. Reclaim what you gave away to survive. The light in the basement is not a warning. It is an invitation.